All right. Good morning. How is everybody doing? Happy September to everybody. Welcome back to another day and just another week in the market, but we do have the end of a month and the beginning of a new. So, welcome to all. And let's go ahead and get started with some higher level analysis. Let's talk about kind of where we're coming from last month and some possible scenarios moving into the month of September. So, as always, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets, and it's September 1st, 2021. So, I figured we'd start off with the S&P 500 monthly chart just to get a sense of where the market currently sits on the highest time frame that we like to review. And we note that the monthly chart continues to remain extended. As the daily trend has been sort of the general guide session after session, we know that the monthly is sitting well above its sort of normal moving averages, therefore putting it in a bit of an extended state. And ultimately, as you begin to explore the monthly, you may want to find an exponential moving average that connects well with the current price. So we could start off with something like the 9, and we see that on the monthly during the election time frame, during essentially one of the deeper corrections and pullbacks after the COVID lows, the monthly chart did connect to this approximate 9 EMA. And since then, we've been sort of grinding higher. We haven't actually reconnected to this MA for a long time. So conditions in the market are, of course, ones of strength, but we continue to reiterate where we are in the longer time frames and just looking for preparation steps if the market is to ever pivot. That pivot has the potential to draw down deeper than our daily trend, and we would be looking for the weekly and the monthly time frames to be our guide. So as we move into our weekly, we see that the trend is also quite strong, of course, in the weekly, but the 9 EMA is not really a great guide. It tends to sort of cut through the candles. And while most of the weekly candles actually close above this EMA on corrections, it doesn't necessarily act as a great trigger point for the price to react against specifically. So coming into our MAs, we just adjust this to something like a 12, and we see that that has a slightly better fit. So analyzing some of the previous corrections, we know that our daily 50 period has been a great guide overall, but as we shift into higher time frames, using the 20 and the 50, especially in a strong uptrending market, doesn't really act as a great guide for buy signals or even the potential for the correction to pull back and where these previous corrections have hit in the past. So as we can see on the weekly, even pulling back to 3 years, we note that in previous strong uptrends, the potential for correction has often pulled back into something like the 12 period exponential moving average. Of course, noting that during the election, the 20 period is still a very specific guide for setting up our weekly trend and ultimately the continuation that we see today. So we will continue to watch on the weekly the fact that the price not only reacts on the daily 50, but also approximately the weekly 12. And that can once again act as a guide for if we correct, this is sort of the first stopping point that we would expect the market to try to defend. And as we move higher, it also shows the potential downside risk. Most corrections so far, at least in the uptrend, have at least seen a pullback to this moving average. And therefore, that gives us a sense of the depth of risk in the market. And then finally, as we shift into our daily and remove our exponential, we see that we're in essentially an impulsive wave to the upside. We've had multiple corrections, and most of these corrections, of course, coming to a very clear area of support in regards to a trending moving average, and that is, of course, the weekly. We've had approximately 7 of these pullbacks since the beginning of this year, which is marked off by this candle here. So with these pullbacks and these corrections in the overall trend, we simply note that so far there has not yet been a very clear reversal signal in this market. Ultimately, all of our moving averages are up, and while larger time frame candles do show extension, the fact that the market has yet to put in a significant pivot point, something like a weekly engulfing or pin bar, or even a weekly correction that has broken down the exponential. Something like the monthly, just seeing a bearish candle on the monthly, and ultimately on the daily, not even seeing a breakthrough of the 50, something that has held for more than a session. All of these signals show that so far the SPY continues to be very strong and healthy in its uptrend. But as with all uptrends, there will be pullbacks. Those pullbacks we need to be prepared for. We need to, as they occur, and ultimately, if we continue to be bullish, we want to take advantage of these drawdowns and ultimately ride in the path of least resistance, which happens to be to the upside. So as we enter the month of September, keeping these higher level technical concepts in mind, and ultimately understanding that while the market may seem like it can't continue in this bullish path, the chart, obviously, and the market reaction so far is the, I guess, the arbiter of all truth. Essentially, what the market says goes, and what the technicals are saying is that the path of least resistance so far has been to the upside. As we get into each impulsive wave higher, we simply prepare for downside and note that if we get a correction that looks different, then we will analyze that as a potential for the market to pivot. But since every correction has looked so similar, with drawdowns to a specific demand zone inside of the trend, nothing really has changed, and the path of least resistance continues to be to the upside. Now, with September, the reason I bring that up is it is likely for us to start hearing about some of the seasonality effects of the next couple of months. Oftentimes, if you look back approximately over 100 years, the September and October months are not necessarily the most bullish months for the market as an average. Now, with this analysis and this sort of statistical analysis or data-driven analysis of historicals, it's important to note that while that may be true as an average, it's at just how likely that could be. Approximately 100 years back, the likelihood for September to be a bearish month in the market, which simply means the starting price September 1st and the ending price September 30th, making sure we didn't have a 31st. If you draw the percentage gain or loss between those over the past 100 years, you have approximately about a 50% likelihood for that to be a down month, or basically a bearish month. Now, if we get something like that as we basically move into September, we'll obviously be looking at that on our higher time frame. It would be one of the first times in the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months that we've really had any sort of down month. And even from a technical perspective, something like a hanging man, which obviously did not confirm to the downside. Markets often like to set these candle structures as pivots, and the confirmation of those pivots needs to basically show itself before we can understand how far the correction can occur, and we'll use our moving averages as a guide. Um, since we have seen that, the trend continues, and even noting that along longer time frames, we haven't even seen signs of range in quite a while. You'll note that the past 3 months in the S&P, we've actually had higher highs and higher lows over the past 3 months, showing just how strong the conviction has been to the upside, and the fact that each drawdown has been bought, leading to range expansion along this uptrend. So September, typically a less than normal bullish month, but likelihood is still close to 50%. And ultimately, if you average all of the September gains and losses over the past roughly 100 years, you're going to be getting somewhere around a 1.9% drawdown as an average. Now, obviously, within that average, you have certain Septembers that were quite bearish and certain Septembers that maybe bucked the trend and were bullish. But as an aggregate, we're seeing September not necessarily being the outperforming month. So what this means for us is, while this uptrend continues and while we have continued to see directionality in the market, one thing that we haven't seen in quite a while is the potential for a bit of range-bound trading in the S&P. This is something that we also need to be prepared for, and it can take the form of something like a weekly structured trend, something along the lines of what we had back in early May into June, where yes, we had drawdowns, but ultimately the weekly structure resembled more of clear support, clear resistance, and usually that has been set by something like a false breakout or false breakdown, essentially defining those ranges and setting up some key levels for us to analyze. That is a scenario where, once again, we don't necessarily want to be thinking bearish, but if that range is set, we can use it as a guide, allowing ourselves to potentially take shorter term bearish positions against resistance, and ultimately using the clearly defined support, along with the fact that there should be confluence with moving averages and the overall trend structure that we have, to find great buy points. Ultimately, not expecting a new high, but trading that range back and forth. This has been, of course, the scenario that has taken place in the IWM, where ultimately this did have an extremely strong uptrend into the February to March timeframe of this year, and that trading range became defined, leading us to change our methodology as traders if you're trading in this market. And instead of thinking and shooting for all-time highs or thinking that we're still trending, instead using these buy swing lows as a risk definition, targeting mid-range based on volume profile, and ultimately even stepping in short near the highs as the range had clear supply and demand imbalances, ultimately defining the actual ranges. So different scenarios to consider, and ultimately we need to see information regarding this in order to even consider these scenarios to begin with. But it's all things to think about. Markets don't necessarily have to move in a trend-based structure, and while it has been convenient for bullish activity in the S&P, bullish activity in the Qs, that has not always been the case across the entire marketplace. We also note that the Dow had its clear range, which it is trying to break out from, and ultimately seeing a bit of choppy price action. But within this range itself, and allowing for the trending moving average to come and define confluence of support, these provided great buying opportunities to the upside, along with potentially fading the highs before a clear breakout signal had been made. So, with all of this, the reason I bring it up is we previously discussed the idea that one of our main indexes, the Nasdaq, not only has a relatively strong uptrend, but it simply has a different posture than the overall SPY. The Nasdaq's corrections, when they occur, are often a bit deeper than the S&P 500. We're not necessarily seeing pullbacks to the 50 being bought as clearly as the SPY. And in fact, a lot of these have failed on the first attempt, leading to additional drawdown and ultimately finding better support definition at what most people can define as a channel. So the Nasdaq's price action and the reactions that we're seeing are not as simple as the S&P, leading us to more volatile downstrokes and ultimately a lot of fear whenever those corrections occur. These, of course, coinciding with some of the weakness in the S&P, as the Nasdaq does hold a lot of our bigger market caps. So as we transition into a new month, and based on where the Nasdaq is currently positioned, you can see that if the Nasdaq continues this channel-based pattern, we are at resistance. There's really no doubt about where it is positionally inside of the channel. But as with the bullishness of this market and the fact that we have not seen a deep correction yet across the board, if we do not see the market putting in pivot-based structures, something like an engulfing, something like a buying climax, which did occur way back before pre-election. That's actually the only two reactions we've had against this channel. So this third attempt is the first time we're truly going to confirm whether this channel is going to hold to the upside. As we get into, once again, September, and as the Nasdaq's at resistance, allowing for the market to tell us what is the next phase. Doesn't necessarily mean we want to step in here and go short just because it acted as resistance 2 times previously, ultimately setting up the channel itself. We also don't want to expect that we're going to get the same drawdown if we get a sort of selling reaction here or some sort of confirmation. We simply want to look at maybe mid-channel or maybe some volume profile analysis to find the best spot to cover a short. In the scenario where none of that happens, obviously this market has seen a bit of, I would say, choppy to less volatile directional movement near the upper channel. And as we are pressing against it, a third scenario could be a breakout. Now, with channel-based breakouts, especially rising channels like this, oftentimes a break of channel is indicating an acceleration of the trend. You will often see this maybe on shorter time frames with something that is breaking out on a larger time frame. So for example, recently we had a stock that broke a weekly resistance, AMC. In that short time frame, there were multiple channels that formed throughout the breakout. We kind of got through 40, we got through 41, around 42, the trend started to accelerate. You saw that the price action was not giving you as deep of pullbacks, and ultimately the price action began to tilt to a higher degree, having a deeper slope, and ultimately, seeing accelerated buying. That continued until we got to essentially some weekly resistance. And that, of course, set up a sell signal, and that led to, basically a drawdown back to 40 over the next couple of days. But what I'm trying to iterate here is, as this market has yet to really draw down, and as we are seeing shorter term pullbacks be bought into resistance, if we continue to see pressing against this area and an acceleration of the trend, we want to note that we can adjust our trend lines accordingly and look for buy points that maybe have a bit of additional demand coming into the market. You can kind of see what that looks like on the daily, where I've simply connected two previous swing lows, and ultimately these are just forming this potential trend. I can even do it with the most recent drawdown here. As you see, we are pressing into this channel resistance, but the drawdowns have actually been less deep. They've had less of correction before we saw a continuation. So this acceleration of trend will continue until we get to a strong enough supply zone, something like a reaction in the market. And often when we see this, the best approach is to allow for the most aggressive trend lines to fail. They will start to break down as market participants note that there has been a large sell signal somewhere above. And we often want to come to deeper trend line support and potentially the channel-based support, as depending on how this reacts, if we get a massive false breakout near this resistance, the ultimate target would be the downside channel. And that can lead the Nasdaq, at least in the sense of what has occurred in the past, down to the 340 to 350 range. All of these things coming together into a new month, a month that historically has had some notable seasonality weakness. The fact that the market does have these overextensions in the higher time frames, and looking for, if we get any sort of pivot-based structure, something like a sell signal on the weekly, something like a false breakout in the QQQ, something like the IWM or Dow starting to break down. As we've discussed earlier, that the IWM is actually starting to show some strength. We're seeing moves away from our volume point of control near the mid-range, and we're also seeing the potential for this upper range resistance to finally be tested for the last time, hopefully, with the understanding that we did bounce from the 200 period moving average on the daily. We're seeing a lot of this bullishness return in other markets. But if anything does happen to change, or if we get a lot of the same, we have all of our scenarios sort of mapped out. The SPY, very simple. If 50 period moving average holds on a correction, then ultimately we would anticipate the market to make a new swing high until we get something like a lower high and an eventual break of the 50. That has not happened yet, so the trend continues. If we get buying climaxes in something like the Nasdaq or the SPY, we may expect a trading range to form. That is something that has occurred in indexes like the IWM and the Dow. Moments where we get too far extended and our corrections lead to volatile price action and ultimately range-based trading. And then finally, if we get buying climaxes that draw down and break trend lines, then ultimately we'll be looking for bears for the first time to confirm some of these trends to be either ending or at the very least setting up our major range that we will ultimately try to analyze and determine based on price reaction. So all of this coming together into what we do. using, I would say, this time frame, because we are 2/3 of the way through the year, and reviewing your strategies, reviewing how you look at a market, reviewing what has been working for you and what has not. Um, as day traders, we all form and ultimately try to refine our edge as market participants. But even though we are looking at higher time frame price reactions, nothing about this particular chart really has any weighting based on the fact that it is a daily. This is a chart that is trending. And as a market participant on shorter time frames, how many times have you gone into a trade looking for a reversal, ultimately struggling to find it, as most price reactions have been met with either muted selling or just slow grinding action to basically test new highs, and then eventually the actual drawdowns being bought back, leading to maybe one or two partials and then the eventual stop out of your short? How many times have you tried to find ranges in a market and ultimately didn't use them as clear support and resistance? Did you find markets that were obviously back and forth balanced between a central point and not buy the lows, not short the highs? The question then becomes, why didn't you? Why did you look at a technical structure and not use it to your advantage as an edge-based trader, regardless of the time frame? 1 minute, 5 minute, 15, 60, daily, weekly, monthly. All of this comes into fruition with the understanding that we're trying to find the best edge and risk to reward based on the market that we're trading. Certain stocks are not trending. Certain stocks are range bound trading. Other stocks are putting in parabolic moves, waiting for the pivots to occur, waiting for the sell signals and stepping into weakness, as opposed to trying to stepping into strength and ultimately getting stopped out before finding the eventual top. All of these scenarios coming together into how you define yourself as a trader, the fact that the market has been performing, and ultimately using some of that as a possible benchmark. Because as day traders, we should be taking additional potential risk to our portfolios for the potential of additional reward. You know, if we're looking at passive investing, the market has gained approximately 20% this year. Looking at your day trading account, have you gained 20% per year this year? Have you made more? Have you made less? If you've made less, what is not working? Evaluating yourself during these monthly changes in the market and being prepared for what comes next. Because ultimately, you're either using a strategy that may not be appropriate for the current market condition, or you may be using a strategy that is simply not well refined. Um, and of course, if you are outperforming the market, if you're taking the risk as a trader and finding yourself successful, continuing to look for shifts in the market and understanding that when those shifts occur, you may want to adjust your current strategy, as it may not work as well as it did in previous history, depending on what it is. So all this coming together, very high level discussion here, but it's important for us as traders to step back, look at market conditions, understand that while we're looking at higher level time frames, this all applies in the 1 and the 5 and the 15. No matter the time frame, these concepts, these technical aspects of the market remain true until something changes. Looking for continuation and, I would say, the structure to remain until the structure breaks down, that can ultimately be enough of an edge as a trader to really just sort of remove the bad and focus on the good. So with that said, I'm Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. Hopefully we've all had some time to just review our performance, whether it just be August performance. I'll say that my performance was a bit lackluster. I'll be looking to make some potential changes. I've already done so in the form of the previous success webinar. And then shifting into a new month, let's see what the market is offering. And ultimately, nothing really has changed, but we're at some important areas in certain indexes. Let's see if anything does change and see if the market actually advertises that change as opposed to us anticipating it and it ultimately failing. So, with that said, let's go into today. Let's see what opportunities arise. And as always, trade safe. Stay tuned for pre-market prep, and we'll talk more tomorrow.
Hey, good morning, Norm. How's it going, bud?
Hey, good morning, brother. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Hey, everybody out there and YouTube, everyone in the chat. How's everybody doing this morning? Anyway, we're going to get this morning going, start looking at a little pre-market prep. We're going to take a quick peek at the gappers, talk about what we've done a little bit, talk about the market, and we'll have some fun today, guys. Let's go ahead and kind of just take a quick look here and pop down to kind of what we got going on. Anything popping out for you early this morning, Norm, or looking interesting? How was your day yesterday?
It was fine. I didn't get to trade much. I had a meeting right at the open. I got stuck in that and a bunch of other stuff throughout the day. So I looked at the market a little bit, but it was when I was on the mic later at 11, it was a little quiet. I didn't see
Yeah,
much I liked.
yeah, I kind of had that. It seemed like things dropped. I was trying to get a little bit of information in for the webinar last night, which went pretty well. And in the in the process of all of that, I even tried taking a couple of trades, but everything just kind of moved really slow into the close. You guys can see here. I just flipped over to the SPY chart real quick. Where we find ourselves in the SPY today. Up a little bit in the pre-market here, but yesterday, notice another just like really seriously narrow day with a light push. I really like Jared's analysis this morning, talking about how the SPY kept drawing back. I did kind of notice if I drew a 50 moving average, that certainly comes and hits the bottom of most of these dips pretty precisely. So, but we normally don't get more than a certain distance away before we kind of do that pullback. So I'll be interesting to see if and when that happens on the SPY. But right now on the SPY, we're opening really high in the in its range actually for the day already with how narrow it's been lately. So I'm not sure if we're going to open weak here and pop down or not. But so far, we got gappers. We got a few things starting to pop out here and look a little bit interesting. So let's go ahead and check out our what we looked at yesterday, and then we'll hit over to the pulse and see if we got anything interesting making all this go on. Yesterday we had looked at Zev. Zev ended up putting in a big upside down hammer yesterday. Not the best trader. We had some call outs on Baba. Baba ended up doing a light press yesterday, but I think some of us were kind of hoping it was going to do a little bit more than it did. Zoom actually was really kind of a pain to trade. Zoom had this big gap down, and what often happens with Zoom or any of these stocks when they have these big gap downs, sometimes they just run in and they just stall there. But we had big volume on Zoom yesterday in this narrow range, so let's keep an eye on it and see what happens with such a narrow range. That should definitely give us a top and bottom we can play today. So Zoom's going to possibly make it onto the list. And then Apple didn't go anywhere. Maybe watch that for a 3-bar play. PLTR still pushing. And then I know Brian watched some stuff like K-Web, which moved up and all that. But otherwise, it wasn't until the end of the day that things started getting interesting. I think it was around 1 or 2 o'clock. A lot of the financials, like WFC, started to, which is Wells Fargo, started to sell off really hard. I don't know if that was on the news, nor maybe the news of the debt forgiveness situation that's going on or something. I didn't know if that maybe affected the financials. But we'll have to see that. So we'll talk to Norm here, and we can roll out for a little market pulse and see what's going on.
Yeah, so we just had non-farms come out at 8:15. Hasn't moved the market a whole lot. They came in a little bit softer than expected. 374 increase versus the estimate of 600. So pulled things back just a little bit. But as you mentioned, we've got a pretty large gap up this morning, 0.4% roughly on both the SPY and the Qs. Actually decent volume trading on the SPY this morning so far, 540,000 shares. As far as economic data today, like I said, we had that ADP report at 8:15, then 9:45 you got market manufacturing PMI, ISM manufacturing index at 10, along with construction spending. And it is the first of the month. I cannot believe, brother, it is already September. This year is flying by.
No doubt.
God. So speaking of first of the month, so we'll have auto sales trickle. We've got a couple on the gap down that are in relation to that, NEO and XPEV, and we can dig into that in a second. Lucid as well, but that's been in play and popping and such recently anyway. So, but the other two for sure are on supply concerns on semiconductors for car production, because they warned against guidance moving forward a little bit because of the shortage of chips.
That is going to be the big deal in the future. That chip shortage thing, I think, is going to continue to be a real issue for forward progress on some of this stuff.
Yeah, I took a chance at investing in a couple of small chip stocks while back because of that. It's finally coming to fruition, so we'll see how it works.
Right.
But anyway, that's what I have this morning, man.
Cool, man. Well, I mean, it seems like we got some volume on the SPY. We've got a few different things coming on. So between all of that, maybe we can get some catalyst today. Yesterday was one of the few days where I was like, man, I wish I just hung around doing a little more trading in the afternoon once that financial stuff started to hit. I know some guys like Miles in the chat room got a real sweet short on that. He got a big move down, so I got to sit back and be jealous as I watched him make some money yesterday. So let's pop over to our gappers and run through a few things, see if we can find anything fun to look at today. Skills Inc. Definitely moving, so we got something going on here. Big gap up on the daily. We had value at $12. We are now leaving value, and we are doing it with some momentum behind it. So Skills definitely looking pretty interesting today. Any news on Skills?
I think this is primarily Wall Street bets. They were it was a really nice runner from about this area of support up to just under 50. I believe it was somewhere between 45 and 47. Yep. That was earlier in the year. It's sold off since. But I think it's got a little bit of it's got a slightly elevated short float at 24%. Wall Street Bets, I believe it's the number 2 discussed ticker over there in the last 24 hours. So,
All right. Well, it might give us an opportunity. Certainly, if we zoom out, we can see that the average price paid on this thing's all the way up at $19. So, and there's a high value area at 1640. A run to either of those areas would give us a real good opportunity today. So, definitely be worth. We'll grab levels on that one for sure. And a plan or plan. Pre-market looking a little lackluster, but we do have a gap. What's going on with plan today? Anything interesting?
they got, what was it? Sorry, they had earnings last night.
Okay. Earnings on plan. I noticed looking in here at VWAP here, we had value right at VWAP. We had a retest with volume and then the gap. So definitely there were some eyes on this one yesterday. And so with all of that buying in before the gap might give us a good gap and fill maybe on this one. So, but we need order flow on this one. Plan so far, not cutting the mustard as far as order flow goes.
Yeah, it's really pretty. Back 2 years ago, 188,000 shares traded at this point, and pre-market was fairly heavy. These days, with as much trading activity and volume as goes on, that it really is not.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, exactly.
We'll see.
Sunrun Inc. Within this big range that it has on the daily, but it is gapping up a bit and getting above the averages. We did have this tight consolidation area. It's broken above. Volume again on this one, not spectacular. Anything worth note on run?
Yeah, they had a analyst come out this morning, initiate coverage with an outperform rating and a $62 price target.
Okay. Oh, so, all right. That's a nice raise there. Okay, so a little catalyst on run. Maybe keep an eye there. Dynavax, I've seen them a few times. Dynavax on the daily I never put Dynavax on my list because Dynavax always has such horrible pre-market action. But going back and looking at the daily, I mean, this thing is practically parabolic right now as far as the daily goes. So I don't know if this offers good intraday activities or concepts or not. I mean, it looks like a big opening run on this one yesterday. And then it just, kind of slowly raised. So maybe catch a good ORB on it or something. But I don't know. I mean, it's certainly going. That's crazy. So anything worth note on DVAX or just doing what it's been doing?
Yeah, I think they got added to Investors Business Daily 50 or something. So
right on.
I agree. I don't like the pre-market in this one. I've watched this one a few times and it hasn't traded well. So who knows? Maybe it.
Yeah. I always scrap it, and then by the time it goes, oh, it's got volume, get back to it. It's made the entire move, and then it spends the rest of the day doing nothing. Hut 8 Mining, hopping on the list again. This one has not really been well trading for me, at least as I've watched it. I haven't really seen it do much. Pre-market volume horrible. Anything cool on Hut? If not, I'll just.
This one just popped up actually, so I haven't even looked at it. Bitcoin is up a little bit.
Okay,
but I haven't pulled this one, frankly.
We'll know if Mara pops on the list in a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's not up a ton; it's up 2%. But
yeah, all right, cool. So let's pop over to our gappers down, and this has a little bit more interesting stuff in it. I know you had mentioned some auto stuff going, and I can see NEO, XPEV, and LCID. So, and just from trading, I already know those are all automotive EV style kind of stuff. So what do we got going on with these guys? I'll start with Lucid.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, you've got auto delivery info coming out for last month. It always drops it right at the beginning of the month. Lucid's kind of I think it's a double whammy a little bit. They've got a lockup that expired today. So you'll have some selling from its SPAC days and stuff that people will be able to take part in. It has also, it doesn't have the delivery info that the others have, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's affecting it to a degree as well. Chip shortage stuff, as I mentioned. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we really seem to have lost an even more critical support. I mean, since it, I don't know if this is IPO all the way back here. If I can go in, I think that might be IPO or something all the way back in early 2021, because I'm not so, or if not, it was just really low. I can't get my arrow to give me more, so Who knows? But we're definitely have lost this critical range here. So the question will be is, will it give us good opportunities? And in the pre-market, it certainly has been downtrending fairly evenly. So it might be a good one. Let's flow over to NEO real quick because I have a feeling this is kind of all similar info. Look at NEO pre-market already tested the 20 and is gapped down below value, leaving the 9. NEO can put in some really good moves on days like these, so I will definitely be watching NEO. Anything separate on these guys, or is this just all tied together?
I mean, they both had delivery information that came out, so
NEO's
it's
not good.
guidance that's concerned about, really.
Well, I mean, that's always seems to be the catalyst I like the best, are the financial ones. When people are thinking they're not going to make money, that's when the big players really start making decisions. So XPEV's kind of had this high range that it's set that it's now. So I think XPEV looks pretty cool too. So we're gonna have some fun with these. I have a feeling today.
Nathan, thank you for the super chat. It's a
Hey,
new
thanks,
month. We'll
Nathan.
have details on that in a little bit.
Hey, first super chat of the new month. I think you're the winner, Nathan. Congratulations. All right, SPRT, the crusher of dreams, is still on the list today. This is support.com. I have seen some good trades on this. I have also seen some not so good trades on this one. Anything new on support, or are we just doing what we've been doing?
I think we're doing what we've been doing, buddy.
Yeah. All right. Who are we? ELYS.
I don't see anything fresh. So
Eli's Game Technology. I'm interested in it, just in the name, not the ticker, because the pre-market action does not look great. Notice these choppy blocks and these very precise movements. This is giving me kind of an algo kind of feel. So we have this big gap. This big run yesterday. Obviously some kind of news that hit right near the close, and it caused it to pop. And then now we find ourselves consolidating down and just kind of computer chomping at 620. So float's only 14 mil, so not a great look. Anything cool on this one?
Well, they've got a new partnership or something, license approval with Grand Central in Washington, D.C. So they got their D.C. sports betting license. They've got a partnership that came out this morning. So popping on that. But as you said, frankly, I'm not a huge fan of the pre-market activity. It's Canadian. Nothing against my Canadian friends, but your stocks don't always trade the greatest. So,
no, that's funny. No, I agree. I mean, just look at this thing. I mean, pre-market definitely agrees with that. Let's see. I did NEO. Let's ACIU. Another lower float here. I think we've looked at this one a couple of times. Yesterday we were looking at this because it had a gap. AC Immune. This was the Alzheimer's or something. I think you had said
that never seems to work out. I'm always leery. Doing this for 3 years, and the number of whatever it is about Alzheimer's drugs, for whatever reason, they gap up huge on good news, and then more often than not, in my experience, I've seen them sell off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like you just get this pop on the news event, but after that, everyone goes, "Oh yeah, wait, they were just testing it. It's probably not going to work." Sava back, Cassava Sciences, the low float that hangs. Not seeing anything that's jumping out for me on Cassava. Actually, this is probably one of the poorer pre-markets I've seen on this one. So, and that's saying a lot. So I'll probably stay away from that one. Anything new on Cassava, or is this just... how does this make it on the list? Like, where's the gap up on this thing? Anyway.
No, it's nothing fresh, but I mean, going back, I think this is one of them that got hammered by some... this one was another one that had Alzheimer's things, but I've kind of forgotten.
The only thing I find interesting on this one, at least on the daily, is we came down, we have this big volume hit on this candle here, and now we're holding. So this one might actually wake up if it loses $50 or something like that. But I have a feeling with all these EV stocks in play today, we're going to be too busy to pay attention to stuff like this. So last one we'll check out here on the gappers down. and then we can pop out and get some community announcements, or we'll go to the room, get a couple tickers from the room, and then we'll do some community announcements. I'll grab a couple from YouTube and the room. Let's see here. CrowdStrike Holdings. I have traded CrowdStrike successfully. However, it was like a half a year ago, or maybe a year ago. So I haven't really seen or played CrowdStrike recently. But it does find itself gapping back down to volume. On volume, what do we got going on? Crowd, is this an earnings kind of deal, or?
Yeah, they had earnings last night.
All right, so we got Crowd on earnings.
Just keep an eye on that. Keep it. It's not. It trades a little thin. Keep an eye on the spread. It's 80 cents right now. Given it's a $275 stock, so that's not too
it's
excessive.
Still a little rich.
It pops, and the spread hops around a lot. So just keep that in mind.
I do remember that now that you mention it. I do remember Crowd consistently having a very gappy level too. You just suddenly you'll feel good because you see 10 cent, 15 cent, and then out of nowhere you run into a $1.20 spread or something like that, and you're just like, what happened here?
I like 50 cent.
Yeah. So all right, cool. So I'm gonna pop out to YouTube. What do you want me to look at, YouTube? What you guys got? I'll take a couple. All right, I got Apple already in. John from Hater, and then John Smith GBS. Give me some good stuff, guys. Make sure it's all good stuff. Let's see. Apple has had some decent plays the past couple of days. Finds itself looking very much like the SPY today as far as this like upward press that it has. It's up at R3 at the top of its range. So we're going to be looking at Apple here for sure today. I'll watch it. But the question will be it's going to looks like it might go with the SPY on this one. What are we going to do? Are we going to sell a little bit, come back down? We're at the top of a range, or are we trying to break out today? I don't know if I can, if we are or not. But the one thing I can see is the pullback on Apple. The volume was a lot higher than I would have liked it to have been. For this kind of candle, normally on a pullback, you sit half the volume. So we have this really huge candle with big volume, and then we have a small candle with also big volume. That normally starts to set pivots and stuff like that. So we'll have to keep an eye on Apple. Apple actually may try and like maybe try and pierce and fail or something. Maybe it'll squeeze at the open, and then we'll get a fade on it or something fun. All right, the other one was, where did we go? I lost my track. Wow, we had a lot come in there while I wasn't paying attention to. Thanks for the interaction, guys, on YouTube. I really appreciate that. GBS was what John said. All right, GBS. Let's see. Really short, a really small float on this one. Only 6 million, so we're definitely low float on this one. It's not overly shorted, however, and it's not held by very many institutions. We are looking at definitely gapping a little bit on this thing. Pre-market doesn't look horrible, actually. Level 2 looks very bullish. So GBS, if you like low floats, I'll move this down to the low float category, actually. If you like low floats, this might be a decent one to watch. I'm not sure if there's any specific news that's on this one. But
they've got some test for diabetes and COVID, I believe, or something.
Okay. So, I mean, if you're looking to play a low float and that's your bag, not my bag, generically. But if you're going to look to play one, I mean, this might be the one to play. I mean, 6 mil, so I'll give her a go. All right, and then I'm going to pop over. Goose wants to check out Be Big. I saw that one on YouTube as well. So let's do a little Be Big. Be Big. Be Big here. If I fill it in here, does it autofill in there? Oh, it does. That's how Carlos does that. Haha. Took me a week of doing this to figure that out. All right. So Be Big had this really nice I'm always wondering, how's he do that so fast? It pops up here.
It Be Big. Am I nuts?
Huh?
Didn't we already look at this one?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. I think we've looked at it like 4 days in a row. I think we're just having PTSD for looking at this one. But it does have order flow this morning. Level 2 looking quite bearish, actually. So it looks like we're selling, which certainly supports the chart. Again, this one's 50 million float, so not quite as low float. So this may actually offer some opportunities here if you're into these lower price stocks. I like the order flow and whatever. I'm not sure if there's anything new going on. Probably just selling from this big run that we had. Time for a little profit taking, maybe. All right, and last but not least, I saw AMD. We'll do AMD. Why not? Always fun to check out. With the chip shortage news on the cars, you never know. Maybe the chip stocks we'll see some impact from that. AMD, pre-market action for AMD stinks. This is really, really choppy, little pre-market action. So I would not be looking to trade AMD at the moment. You've had these really tight, narrowy candles on AMD lately too, so it's not providing as many good opportunities. I don't know about you, Norm, but I noticed that a lot of stocks, when they change certain price levels, they kind of change their personality a little bit, sometimes making them a much less enjoyable stock to trade. I feel like AMD, once it made this August rush up into through $100, lately since then it's just stunk for trading for me, at least, other than like the rare day. So
yeah, I don't trade it very much. It trades completely. It has a completely different personality than a couple of years ago when we were trading at $45.
Yeah, it's like I remember like Roku did that for us once. I remember when you bought like a house trading Roku. It was like every single day I saw a trade from you. You were buying Roku at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day.
Carlos and I used to look at it every morning. The dailies were just beautiful.
It was just crushing. You guys were just. I remember that was a fun month or two because that stock was in beast mode every single day. You could, if you just were a little patient, you could get a massive run on that thing. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and call it for a second. We'll pop over to some community announcements, and then after the community announcements, we'll come back, take a couple look at what we've put together on our list here.
All right. Thor's much anticipated Tape Reading 101 webinar was last night. It should be posted soon if it's not up already. Next week,
I think it's
Tuesday,
already up.
Nice web team on it this morning. Next week, we've got Kyle doing part 2 on how to use Bookmap to assist in your trading. That'll be Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. All right. And then tonight at 8 p.m., we've got Dr. Kenneth Reed talking about bad habits and trying to break them. Next week, Creda's long-awaited return from maternity leave. She'll note the special time, 5 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday. Understand your money mindset. All right. Last month's charity. I will have totals for you tomorrow or Friday. Is the Organization for Autism Research. Also, super chat revenue matched dollar for dollar by Andrew and donated to them for last month. And also the website, we've got bearbulltraders.com/giving. So I will have totals for that. The charity for this month is Cure Childhood Cancer. If you go to curechildhoodcancer.org, you can see that it is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. There is the link to it. And so all super chat revenue starting today and for the month of September and the giving on the site will be donated for childhood cancer. Help fight it. All right. If you want to participate in the member trade of the day, trade of the week, take a screenshot of your best trade of the day with entries and exits on it. Add any commentary you can to describe the trade. Please be detailed in that. We have a few mods have noticed that the quality of the commentary, try saying that fast 5 times, has declined a little bit. So do your best to describe the trade. Post it on Twitter, tagging at Bearbull Traders at Mike_BBT and at NormBBT. Also use hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We'll announce the winner each afternoon on Twitter and in the room, and then all those trades of the day are eligible for Trade of the Week, which is voted on by the team over the weekend and announced on Twitter and in the room on Monday. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not been in the chat, you are invited to do so at a discount. Use the promo code premarket24. Get you a discount off the intro membership. If you just go to the homepage, bearbulltraders.com, scroll down, you'll see that test drive button. Click that, enter the promo code, and you'll get 7 calendar days, 5 trading days in the room. It cancels itself after that. It does not continue on. You do not get billed again. You actively have to go choose another membership plan. And then also, if you'd like to become an elite member and gain access to all the great webinars and content we're describing, use the promo code SUMMER40 to get 40% off the annual elite membership.
All right, man, that's good stuff, man. A lot of stuff going on. I did want to say thank you to everybody who came out to the webinar last night. The attendance was fantastic, and we had a really great time. I had an email this morning that it was already posted, so if you missed it, it's already rocking and rolling for you. We got a PDF of the presentation uploaded with it. So should be plenty there, be some good, maybe a good something to watch while you're sitting out under an umbrella or something over the weekend. You can watch a little webinar and get some suntan going on or something. But
I'd
also
prefer an umbrella in my drink.
True story. Now we're talking. And then also a side comment, guys, one of my favorite things to do throughout the day is to read and check out your process on these trades. So definitely, like Norm's asked a couple of times, mark those up for us, because it's not just kind of like a braggy thing that we're trying to do. It's really, we're trying to promote education within the community. Yeah. And that's really more of what this is about. So by you detailing it and saying what your thought process is, we can all learn. That includes the moderators. It's a lot more fun that way too. So just don't just toss us a picture and say, hey, I rule, right? Help us out. Tell us why you rule. And then we'll say you rule and share your trade. All right, so let us pop over to our list that we were taking a look at. Let's get us some levels going. And then we will talk about some watch lists from our moderators once those are up. And then we will do some live trading with Andrew and Brian. So skills, we already know we find ourselves gapping up on. Skills has a very nice pre-market activity. Skills will definitely be on my list to watch. If you look at the level 2 right now, all of our highlighted orders are on the ask side, which means to me this stock is reading incredibly bullish right now, at least up to 1450, or something like that in the open. So if we can manage to hold and consolidate, upward movement is definitely possible. Some levels that pop out just right off the bat here is coming right back here to the bottom of this area right here. Notice that hits right into the top of where we are right now. So where the floor becomes the ceiling is always kind of an interesting thing to watch. So this level here, or this breakout of here, is certainly going to be fun to keep an eye on and to see what happens. Hopefully this thing will wait for us. There are many of us like myself that don't trade the pre-market just by practice. Hopefully this thing will hang on for us and not completely FOMO us out in the process. If somehow that breakout happens, then we're going to look to run that range, right, which is from here up to here, just south of $16. And then we'll be looking to that. If for some reason we decide to sell off at the open, which is quite possible, we do already find ourselves all the way at R4 on the pivots, which means we're quite extended. So if this rubber band decides to snap back, I would expect us to draw back down into the central pivot range somewhere around 1250, right? And if you notice, if you come back and look at this gap area here, right at the top of that candle, that puts us right at $13. Right, so maybe draw back and pull back to $13. That's R2. Look to set and run from there. But if we get there and look, we could actually pull all the way back down and run all the way back down to the bottom of our candle before we press up and go. It just really depends on how that we are 40% held by institutions, so we may not need to gear up too good, and we also have a high short flow in WSBs on this one. So if we get the right conditions, maybe this thing will go. Plan. Still not in love with Plan's pre-market action. So I will not be adding this to my watch list today, I don't think. We do find ourselves gapping quite a bit, and I do find that intriguing with the gap. If I was going to play Plan, I would not be overly concerned about most of the historical levels with the gap like this. But let's just go ahead and grab some that are quite obvious, right? So we have the top of this area here, 64.27. If we start to draw down or sell, I'd expect us to come back probably around there. And then if we look at this big wicked candle here, we set this really small range right about there. So these would be my two downside levels I'd probably be focusing on. To the top side, if we start to run, we certainly have an obvious area where the floor became the ceiling. Look how we gapped down on this day and then drew back right to the bottom of this candle, which was the bottom of this candle and the middle of this indecision, right? Drawed back and then we went on a sell, right? So if we go and rain and break out, maybe we look to run for $75 or something like that. So probably won't make my list today, but we'll see. Run finds itself pressing and we find ourselves above R6. So run is really trying to break out this morning, but I find it very interesting that it's done it on very little and very low volume. I'm not seeing a massive amount of participation here, at least not yet, so I'm not sure how I would want to play it. At the open, I would certainly pay attention to the back test, see if this comes down to this moving average, right, or the top of this range, 46.19, and touches that and then launches off of it. That'll give you a good opportunity. Actually, I like how these two candles hit right here. So I'm actually going to mark it more right there, right? So if we come down and hold here and touch, then look for the launch off of that level. If we lose that level, then be prepared for run to dump and come all the way down. We could just be breaking out ever slightly on the pre-market just to lose it and dump, kind of like a trap. So let's pay attention to that. If we do decide to break out and run, obviously the high of our candle is going to be a good move. That's the bottom with that one. And then we'll go up and we'll try and run the initial part of this range up to around $50. All right, DVAX has been running. Pre-market volume is not fantastic, finds itself into R3. Since we're on such a big breakout, I really don't have any relevant local levels, right? So I'm just going to look at this thing probably to go up to around R3 2050 and see what it does here. If it breaks out, maybe it's a long play. But for this one, because it's been on such a good run and it finds itself gapping a little bit on low volume, I'd actually look for a little rally and then maybe a fade on this one for an inside day and see if it holds up. I'm not seeing, hold on, let me change my data config because I need more days because I'm not seeing my pivots. All right, there we go. All right, it's all right. So now I'm seeing, so you can see here we did this big consolidation here on DVAX. Let's look at 5-minute. Right, so if we lose here, I would look to draw back down to value around 1950 and maybe even lower. All right, let's get into the LCID, NEO, and XPEVs. I think these are going to be really interesting. Notice right now we're drawdown. We have a lot of volume coming in on Lucid. If it pulls back, I'd look for it to come back to this 1725 level if it rallies. Other than that, I got nothing for you. I don't. If this rallies through here, obviously maybe it goes back up towards $20, but that does not seem to fit. Right now we seem to be downtrending heavily, but we are coming into high volume. So like I said, maybe draw back to VWAP or 1725 and then go back down. The main levels you're going to be using on this one will be pre-market low, for instance, once that sets. Which, why am I not seeing my pre-market low? Oh, because I don't have it. I took it off. So, let's see here. Can I get that back on there really fast? No, of course not. Pre-market high. Pre-market low. We won't worry about the line style. Let's just change the colors. So I see them. We'll do pink. And we'll do purple. All right. Cool. All right, so now you can see how pre-market low is setting, so I'll look to play that. All right, NEO. Oh, I need to take those out of the scale. Hold on. Okay, there, much better. Jeez. Do this on the fly, you miss everything. Yeah.
Is your stuff not set up?
No,
I
took some
scale?
things. I took some things off before, and then I wanted to add them back on real quick, and it never works. So Neo here, you can see Neo finds itself down and losing value. And Neo has been on this really tight band kind of consolidation for a long time, just moving up and down around this value area. So last time Neo lost it, it went down to 30.83. So that would be the full run. I actually had a big buy up off of that. Would be the majority of the run I would look for this to make today if it really loses it and starts going down. So notice we have this hammer candle that bought up that goes off of there. I like that level. Other than that, pre-market low, pre-market high, those kind of things are really going to come into play. If we bounce, I wouldn't get obsessed about marking levels in here. Use the previous day's candle, right? If you bounce and start to run, what we're going to be looking for is previous day's low, something like that. And then if it goes on a full run, then maybe we watch it try and run back up to previous day's close. But right now it's wicked straight through everything. It finds itself very low in the range with volume looking to break down. So we'll see. XPEV looking kind of lackluster right now. So I'm not sure how much, if I'm going to keep this one on list or not. Not getting a lot of order flow, continuing to chop this range. So really what we're going to be looking for on XPEV are the pre-market levels. And if we break down, if we do daily levels, we obviously have this nice buy-up area just below VWAP. We'll look to drop down through $40, maybe make it to that. If we do manage to squeeze a little bit and run, then we're going to look for it to go through previous day's close and then the current high and to see if we get something going. Crowd was on our list. Crowd's got the big gap down. This one, I think we've got some good levels on for sure. Notice if you zoom out to the wider chart, we've got this value area coming in really strong around 255, right? So we're going to take a look at that, and let me go out here, config. I want that to be precise, so 255. So we're going to mark that at 255. Notice how that cuts right through all of these areas. And then if we come in here, we have this high area right here where we've tried to break out. That's where we find ourselves now. And then we really have the true top of that range. You can see top, body close, and tops. The top of that range is right here. And that's where we happen to find our low wick in our candle, right? So what I'm going to look for on crowd here is if it happens to squeeze really no higher than this and then roll over and break through. All right, so that's our base levels. I'm going to go ahead out and take a look at some of our watch lists from our moderators, and then we will peg through one or two levels, maybe Apple, AMD, and then a couple of the ones from the rooms, and we'll go on that. So to start off, we've got Mike B coming in. His break of high day scanners is what he's going to be watching, and the stocks he's going to focus on is Tesla, Apple, and Facebook. Maybe we'll take a look at Tesla too, because I kind of want to see what that's up to today. Dima is watching Apple, Skills, and LI. Peter has no IPOs. There are a couple of SPACs coming out, OXUSU and FATPU. I don't know how they come up with these. Tiffany is watching Neo and Apple. Secondary, good old Tesla. Tiffany is basically a pro Tesla trader at this point. She can just throw quarters at it and make hundreds. It's crazy. Peter has AMD and Apple on the watch list. And then for his secondary, LCID and SKLZ. Also be big. Jared, initial watch list from above, which was... Let's see, he was watching the MJ ETF, so he's keeping an eye on. I do remember cannabis sector having a bit of a rally towards the end of the day yesterday, so he's watching ACB and TLRY along with Cron to look to see if the pot stocks are going to do something today. He's also watching some of the China stocks, BABA and JD, to see if they're going to follow in the trend of the other stocks that started reversing yesterday. He's also going to watch AMC. That's basically his good buddy at this point, and then LCID and Neo. Me personally, I'm probably gonna keep an eye on these EV stocks, Neo, LCID, XPEV. I also like Skills and Crowd. to see what's going out there for me. Anything for you, Norm, coming up that you're really liking this morning?
I'm still looking, brother.
Still checking it out. Cool. So let's go out and hit a couple more levels to close this out, and then when Andrew and Brian get here, we'll flip into a little live trading with those guys. One of the lists that came out in Jared's watch list, so I wanted to pop over and take a look at it, was BABA. BABA yesterday was on a gap up, and it had this narrow band move. It finds itself opening above R4 today, so that does put it in breakout territory on a narrow cam range. So I might be with Jared on this one, looking for a potential breakout since some of the other China stocks have moved already. Maybe today is BABA's turn, maybe not. Obviously, BABA has had some pretty narrow, indecisive candles, so we got to wait for that. If we can hold this level and start to break, the real big one that jumps out to me is anything around like 174. Breakout of there will probably start some pretty hardcore squeezing and profit selling. Actually, I'm going to refine that. We have a really high value area on the daily at 172. So let's keep an eye at 172 and then 174. Those should be good topside levels. If it starts to draw down, you may not even worry about it. But obviously, if you lose previous day's close, it's probably going to be a really big deal on that. You can already see we've back tested PDC already in pre-market. So if we hold here, make new highs, I think BABA could do something for us today. What was the other? Tesla. I saw in the YouTube as well as Tiffany's watching that one. Tesla had this good push yesterday. Nice little green indecision candle here. Volume is a little higher than I really would have liked to have seen on this candle. So that makes me a little nervous for a long play on it. And with some of the other chip like EV stocks getting a little pressure, maybe something different than we're expecting happens on Tesla today. I don't like that we made this big press on volume and then we spent an entire day in this narrow candle on even higher volume than that. So that normally you pivot off of these kind of candles. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on Tesla today to see what happens there. And then what was the other one? A little quick look at AMC. AMC had a really nice day a week ago or so. It was the 24th. Real big press on volume. We have had declining volume on the pullback, which this is more of what we're looking for a nice pullback. So if you're paying attention to VPA, y'all, this is the kind of stuff you're looking for. You get a big engulfing candle, and then your next few days, you draw back on declining volume. Remember how I said I don't like Tesla's chart because you stayed high above the price and you had even higher volume? Right, this is what we're looking for, which is you're going to draw back on lower volume, and then as you start to move up again, you advance with higher increasing volume. So I like AMC for that reason. If AMC manages to actually hold this level and break, then you could, which is going to be right about at the top of both of these candles. We're already testing that. If we can manage to pull this breakout and go, then, I mean, AMC's in a pretty good position. It's got a pretty good run ahead of, it's got a lot of distance above it for the next area. Maybe look at it to come up into this range here around like 53 for the shorter move, and then maybe as far north as $60 if this thing, goes crazy, which it can do. But I find that pretty interesting. If it fails, then look for it to, if it loses its like pre-market low and fails, look at it to come back into range and value, and it probably won't be great to trade short. But if it breaks out, it might be something. All right. How about you? Anyone else? Any other little stocks you want me to check out? Anyone out there in the room? I'll hit a couple more stocks and hit a couple more levels, and then we'll get into some live trading. Sava, yeah, I can do Savas. GME, and we'll do GME. I see that out in YouTube. All right, Sava. I'm interested in Sava a little bit, to be honest, and only really because of this high volume that it had down here, and it's been holding. My issue with it just on the short term though, really low volume, we're pressing down, and then we just have these super narrow candles. But it is giving you a pretty stable pivot. I mean, obviously if you lose that level right there, I'd expect to continue to sell. We do have a floor, a ceiling, right? So this is certainly a level that has been in play before and is in play again. So, and we've certainly have downside. It's not like, you know, this thing can't go back to zero. So if we hold here and then start to continue to move down, I would look for it to break that level. If it loses that, you know, we could easily come all the way back down to $36 over the course of the next day or two. This thing can put in massive drops when it gets moving. So, you know, one day it can make the move. If we hold, obviously our critical levels are going to be value right here at around 56, and then trying to break out from these candle tops right here. All right, and then let's see. Last one. Let's do this one here. GME. GME's pre-market volume, kind of actually, pre-market volume not great right now, but the daily chart certainly has an interesting look to it. So GME right now is actually concerning me a little bit. It looks like it is ready to explode. We got this big engulfing pattern, right? So we're setting kind of this break here, which I find really interesting. But the VPA is kind of telling me a different story than what I'm looking at. I see this big move, and then I see this up, down, side down candle on lower volume. And then I have the retracement here, which is good. But as we've been pressing, I'm missing the advancing volume. Normally, as you would press, you would see a more of an increase in volume into this level. So I don't know if they're just being tentative with it or not, but that concerns me. If GMA comes up into 225 or at the open you see an incredible amount of selling on the tape, be prepared to take this thing short and run this back down. If it can manage to break that level, well, that's going to be the key one to watch for sure. And if it can get out from it, then I would look for it to run this topside range. So you could, we've got a big drawdown that happened before from here. We'd be coming back into this where we've had some real big candles. So I would look for it to, make some runs, maybe back up into somewhere right around 255, 250 and then 255. All right, let's see here. Let's see. Hi, I'm fairly new to the stock markets. Hey, CC. Fairly new to the stock markets. Can you check the ticker EVC? Let's find out. Nope. No, I'm kidding. So, you said put ticker, so I don't know if you're looking for me to check an options thing, or if you just wanted me to check this ticker. So this ticker would generically not meet something we would use for intraday trading, only because of the lack of pre-market action on it. We do have a bit of a gap up, which I can see is probably what drew it to your attention. So we have had a move, and that may make it worth trading. My only recommendation I would make is I would wait and let the price open and then trade on it. I wouldn't get into it now, and I wouldn't jump into it right off the gate. I would let it shake out maybe for a few minutes and then try and play it if you're going to play it. If you can day trade it. For swing trading or something like that, I wouldn't be able to go anywhere near this one. So, okay, we got that checked out. We've got Brian coming into the room. We're still hanging. I'm sure Andrew will be on in a few. And then we will... Oh, okay, I see. All right, I just read the admin chat. So, what we will do here in a few minutes is I will switch over in a moment, and then I think Andrew's running just a couple minutes behind, so we'll just roll it over, and we'll have Brian trading in there, and then what I will do is I will trade with him a little bit until Andrew pops in, and then I'll switch Andrew in. Anything else before we roll over to some live trading that you're seeing out there, Norm? All right, let's see here. All right, I need. Hey, Brian, what's going on, buddy?
I'm long lucid right now. Yeah, there we go. Right through 16. Just
There he
like a
goes.
knife. Wow,
Oh,
like a
look
knife
at
through
you.
butter. Okay, well, I'm
Oh,
done for
man.
the day.
Yeah, all right.
Thanks.
So have a great
good
day,
day.
everybody. Brian's done.
Yeah. No, I caught that bit of a sell-off down around about 9:10.
Man, that's baller. What a trade.
Yes.
What a nice pop,
Yeah.
too, up into
Okay.
1620.
Yeah, that was. I did not expect it to go through 1620, but anyway, all out right now. All right. Nothing's looking too interesting yet. I'm gonna maybe keep an eye on Facebook too. It was trading down in the red in the pre-market here, but now it's just just jumped up. PLTR was kind of in play yesterday, wasn't it? Doesn't look very interesting right now. It's kind of choppy.
Yeah, I'm starting to get my watch list put together.
Yes. So Chinese stocks look kind of interesting today too. Swung some of those from still have those from would that be from Monday? Up again today. Still got a little bit of Sava that's down a bit right now. All right. No, I can't actually. I can't play Lucid to the short side. And I wouldn't really trade it as a rising devil anyway, just because it's showing a lot of strength going into the open.
Yeah, you're right. I don't have shorts on that one. Sads.
So yeah, so if I do end up playing Lucid, it'll only be to the upside. Skills is kind of looking interesting. Billy kind of looking interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to check out Baba today. Some of the China stocks started to move, but Baba kind of stayed in place, and today it's a little up. It's above R4. So I'm going to see. I'm hoping Baba maybe gives me that breakout today I've been waiting my whole life for.
think you're gonna have to watch the scanners. Baba and Apple keep popping up on the scanner. Same with Grub. So I think we're gonna keep an eye on the scanners today just to see what kind of pops up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I have some Baba for a swing trade. I might sell some more here. The open probably going to get a bit of a pullback here.
Yeah, I'm hoping we get a little draw down at the open. We're already above
AMC,
our 40, so
yeah, AMC is looking like it's going to get spicy. We'll see. All right, here we go. So,
ding ding.
ding ding.
Good luck,
We're
everybody.
off. We're
Montage
off.
unlocked.
Lucid's right at the VWAP right now. Facebook's taking off as I suspected it would. There goes Billy.
Baba just printed at 169.56, 236,000 shares twice. Same exact amount. That's really weird. Baba does not have enough volume moving around.
Yeah, I'm long some Lucid again. I think it's going to go to 17. We'll see. Once it broke above the VWAP, I took it long.
I'm long some Baba.
Oh, Billy's going 2 again. Here we go with Lucid.
There's my big buyers. There they are.
Big volume on Lucid. Oh, here we go, right through 17. I'm going to sell some here. 16.99.
Sell Baba. Ooh, what a great fill it gave me. I threw a market order and it filled me right at the top. That was so nice. Go, baby, go. Yeah, baby. I knew Baba was going to pop this morning. I knew it.
Good deal.
A little more off here. All right, cool. All right, let's see if we press or if we draw back. Either way, I got some good partials going already. Yeah.
Highs here, maybe a little less. So I think it's probably going to pop a little more here. Stalling.
All right, I'm at break even on Baba. If it comes back through, back down to 169.80, 76 or whatever, then I'll bail. It needs to hold here and support.
TQQQ, the Qs are popping, I guess, by the looks of it. Showed up on the scanner. I'm a little bit concerned how long we're pausing here on Lucid.
Apple's on a pretty solid tear right now, straight to R6. That was exploded.
Yeah. Skills is looking like it might break out.
Well, you said Q's is running, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I'll get a little long here, Skills. Thank you for that. All right, here we go. Thank you. Thanks, Amir.
Amir, where did you grab that long? Did you get that at like 1365 when it made that new high?
Oh, it's pulling back. There goes Lucid now. It's going to have to get out of skills. It's sinking here. Don't know if it's going to hold. That was a bit of a fake out. Looked like it was going to go to 14.
Well, I'm hands off for the moment. I'm waiting to see what Baba's going to do before I take any more trades. There's enough in this trade to get me over goal if I get a good pop. So I'm just hanging out and just waiting.
Yeah, Facebook. I knew it. I knew it. Facebook. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Facebook. All right, I'm just going to take a little more Lucid off here at 1750. 1748 filled. Hmm.
Yeah, I was really hoping Baba was going to pop there. It's tough, but I didn't see any high selling on the tape. So hopefully we're just kind of accumulating a little bit before we pop. But I don't know. It's starting to look a little sketchier.
Looking for 18 on Lucid now. See if we can get there eventually. Hmm.
Yeah, look at that. So look at that, everyone. Notice we had marked that level in the pre-market, the bottom of this area. I said watch it, see if it squeezes back. Look at that. Right off that level, squeezed right back to the level that we had marked. Not quite to the penny, but I mean definitely right into this. Maybe if we went up to this one right here. Oh, yeah, look. Oh, it was right there. The bottom of that candle. That's the one that worked. That's pretty cool, though. So, like, if Lucid's going to reject and head back down, this would be the kind of spot it would want to do it. We just had some
Spies rolling over.
Yeah, we just had some big bids come out on LCID, too. It's got some ladder to the top side, though. I think this thing can still squeeze. So we can just get a little bit of a bounce or something to happen. But right now it's getting a little sketchy.
Yeah.
Oh, man, my shoulders hurt.
Hitting the gym last night.
No, I actually took the night off. I got this new fun thing. It's called a light boxer. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. And full disclosure, people, this is not like a YouTube plug or anything like that. They do not pay me any money. But it's basically like a Peloton kind of deal, but it's called light boxer. And it's basically a punching bag with lights on it, and you punch and play like whack-a-mole at the same time with music. It's really fun, but I really overdid it, and now I can't move my shoulder. Because I'm 40, and I don't know what I was thinking.
What were you thinking? Okay, I'm short space. I'm just looking at space here. I got short at 27. I'm thinking about bailing on the rest of Lucid. We'll see what it does here.
Vahad, yeah.
Still hanging in with Lucid. If it loses 17, I'll get out of it. Right now, it might be just doing a pullback. Space goes back up above 27. I'll get out of it as well.
I like the volume on your pullback.
Yeah, it did trade. There wasn't. Yeah, the volume's kind of leaking off.
But you didn't get like this huge downside sell or anything. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
still looks like it wants to advance volume-wise.
All right, I'm out of space. It didn't break down like I expected it to. It's probably still going to break down, but it's going to put up a fight. SPY selling off. IWM sold off.
Come on, Baba, you can do it.
KWeb is still popping up here. Still long some of that. Still long some BABA.
I played
For my
KWeb
swing
for the
trades.
first time yesterday, Brian, in your honor.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I shorted it and got this beautiful short on it the whole end of the day. It was great. I even told everyone as I took the trade, this is for Brian.
Yeah. This is for Brian, who's long on this.
I was driving it back to give you an add-in opportunity. The GME and AMC all seem to be making some moves, at least trying to make some moves. See, look at this high volume on GME, how it came right into that level and then stuffed. GME is interesting. Had a big buy. 16,000 shares came through to make that happen right there. That's interesting. AMC actually might be setting up right now. Watch the long on AMC off of VWAP.
Yeah, looks like Skill's trying to hold. Kind of looking at that. It's a revenge trade.
Level 2 on Skills still coming too. Skills? Oh, yeah, look at that. Right to R3. Pattern's looking a little weak now. That back test there, it came back up to like 1350. Now it's throwing an upside down hammer. It's got orders all over the place. Oh, snap. All right. I almost missed it. Selling some BABA here, 171.30.
Yeah, I don't know about SQBG. It really took a hit yesterday. Off the low of the day, though. I mean, it's halted as well here. Okay, here we go. This Lucid is going to maybe make a move here. We've got a bit of an ascending triangle being put in on the 2-minute chart. I think it's going to break out here. We're looking for 18 on this one. Almost got stopped out on it. I see Moderna's popping up here.
Oh, yeah, it is. Oh, man, right off of pre-market low. I mean, it just sat there right on it, bounced it a few times. And then
it bounced twice off that, off that previous day close.
Yep. Man.
Just held that level beautifully.
So good.
Previous day close. There you go, Jared. There was your trade.
Uh-oh, Jared's getting in on it. He said he knew MJ was going to be in play today. Oh, my gosh. I guess I'll drink for Jared, too. He knew it, folks.
MJ? Mary Jane?
Yeah, the Mary Jane.
The Mary Jane trade.
Which one are you looking at, Jared, specifically? He was looking at, was it Aurora
With
Cannabis?
CGC's up a little bit. Dow's going to go red on the day.
TLRY. He's probably looking at
Tilray.
TLRY.
Yeah.
Yeah, TLRY is by far the better moving of those stocks, generically.
Space. God damn it. Knew that was going to break down. I knew that was going to break down. See, look at that. Jesus Christ.
That's right, folks. We're going to be here.
380, Facebook breaking out here.
Come on, Baba. Come on, a few more cents. Go. I got some orders sitting on Baba, sub 172. Come on.
Skills almost looks like a short.
There's some big sells came in right there. I'll go ahead and drop right there. I'm not picky. Out at 171.90. I actually took there because some large sellers came in at 171.85. I just want to make sure I don't, 10 cents on a $200 stock or whatever isn't that big of a deal. Yeah, there we go. It popped anyway, but we got it. I didn't like those sellers I saw, but there's my buyers that came in there to make that move up. So, all right, so we're doing real good on Baba now. This breakout is rocking. I'm up like 5R on this thing, so we're doing real good. So I'm basically holding now. I've only got one drop left, and I'm all out of my position. So I kind of got to hold off unless I get a drawback or something like that. But Baba, baby, we had it on the radar. We were ready to watch this thing today. We've been watching these China stocks for the past couple of days, waiting for this Baba bounce to happen. And if you guys have a chance, and I'm just going to throw out there, if you haven't subscribed to Brian's swing trading newsletter, even if you're a day trader, some of his market analysis in there is what really had me staring at Baba today and looking even that. So even though he talked about stuff on Sunday about the market to come and things to look at, China stocks being a little undervalued, he's going to be looking for some swing bounces, right? So if Brian's looking for swing bounces, then those are stocks I'm going to be able to look to play intraday if they move well. So sign up if you haven't.
Yeah, I do some like Sava, the Sava trade yesterday sort of came from some swing trade analysis, and it turned out really good as a swing trade, not so much today, but and as a day trade yesterday. So look at Facebook's going to break out here. It's still not. I'm not in that, but should have, could have, should have, would have.
Yeah, look at that. It's going through R4.
Play when because Facebook's been going trading in the red. It's all play. Microsoft showing up on the scanner. Microsoft, yeah, showing up on the scanner, and
we got some volume in on crowd's been moving up pretty nice today. Just popped with some big volume though as it went through these some previous daily levels. Goodbye, crowd. AMC is coming back to S3 for any of you who are playing that one. I see some in the room talking about it. Keep an eye on your tape here and see how the bid responds. Last time we squeezed and it wasn't on high volume, so be careful with trying to buy this bounce. Make sure you get some good bids to come in on it when it does. But if it does, you might look to run all the way back to the top of this little range, micro range we've got set up here.
Yeah, I'm kind of keeping an eye on skills just to see what happens here. I'm just sort of waiting to see if it comes back to the 9 moving average, and looks like Billy's going to try to break out here, but oh, okay, I back in. I think it's to me it's in a downtrend. If anything, I'd be shorting it here at the 9 moving. It's coming into the 9 moving average right now. No, I didn't look at FU2U. There you go. There goes skills. I told you it was a short. As soon as it came up close to that moving average, that was the opportunity to get short on it.
I used to play descending triangles a lot when I was kind of getting my feet more wet in the market. And skills sets up just like that. And I would have played it just how you said it. It got this base. Once it pulled back into the average, I would have shorted the 9 using the 20 as my stop, or the top of the prior candle, whatever. And then that drop there, you'd already be at 2-to-1, piece of cake. I mean, that's a really nice short. Good call, Brian. Hopefully some people took that one.
Yeah. So you'll get some more consolidation here probably. I think it's going to consolidate again. You can see here how it's moving. It drops, it takes a big drop, and then it consolidates sideways. So the 9 catches up to it as soon as it gets back to the 9. Another drop probably coming. I'm just looking through my stocks here. I'm trying to figure out. I'm still long Lucid. It's still trying to get through this 1750 level. I think it's going to finally break here. Break out, go higher. Just added some on Lucid. So I brought my average up. So I'll be looking for a run to 18 now on Lucid. We'll see if we can get there. It's kind of do or die right here.
All right. I took a little bit more off of BABA, which dropped me down to 10%. So now I'm just setting a trailing stop order for the loss of the 20 EMA, basically. I'm going to let this thing just kind of roll. If it turns over and comes back down, I'll bail on it. No reason to try and get too complicated with this one. Got a nice move. Kyle.
Come on, Lucid. Yeah, Apple's been nice, eh? Like, let's see, it's still, what's it doing?
I mean,
Yeah,
it looks
it
like
looks
it's
like it's breaking out. Yeah.
yeah. It may be. I mean, no top side like climaxed volume or anything. So we might be consolidating for another leg up here.
Okay, now we're cooking. Here we go, Lucid. Now we're cooking with gas.
Nice.
Come on. It's going to take a little off here at 77.
I'm trying a little
Yeah,
ad here on
we're getting a move. We're getting a move.
I did a little ad on Baba here. We drew back to this level I had marked for our move, and we held it very well, and then wicked it twice, bouncing value. When that happened, I saw a lot of orders come in on the tape, so I added into that. Good little pop already, so I'm gonna take a titch off my ad, which was nice. So when I averaged in all the way up to 171.40. So you're talking about from 169.60. So I averaged in almost a full dollar worth of unrealized, which is probably about $80 or $90 with the amount of shares I had left. So that loaded me up pretty good again. So let's see if we get another leg out of Baba here. Nice, Justin. Nice.
I'm still holding my Apple or my Baba and KWeb positions. Swing trades. Here we go. On Lucid. Come on. We're gonna blow through 18. Big bids at 18.
Yeah.
It sold some at just sold some 17.99.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a bounce.
Yeah, as soon as that thing turned in the pre-market, that was amazing.
I mean, not trying to say the pre-market was a little on, but look at this. What level did we mark? I mean, and then this thing bounced. It drew back right to the level that we marked. Hit that a couple times. Now it's breaking. I mean, that's a fun time when you see that happen. That is cool. Good stuff. Haha. Spy's losing it. It sounds like. I'm gonna flip over to that.
So the IWM is going down too. Wow, Billy just ripped out of the range here. Whoa, look at it go. Jeez.
Oh, nice to rush. One of our chat members got Apple short right before the SPY dipped, and already got themselves a nice move back to VWAP. That's glorious.
Lucid coming back to the 9 moving average now. I'm gonna add back again here, 1758. So if we lose this level, that's where I'm just gonna get out all of it. I don't want it to lose the 9 moving average. If we do, we might end up with a 920 trade.
All right, SPY's
Okay,
trying to recover a little bit here, so we might
gonna
get a
sell
pop.
some there. Sold some at 1766. Oh, the line. Now I think it's looking a little toppy to me. I think, and let's see, what time is it? We're half an hour into the trading day.
All right, everybody. Well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day. My BABA trade is still working, but I've moved my stop up to just under the 20 moving average. If this comes
Here
down
we
and
go.
loses this level, I'm going to go ahead and get out. I'm going to go ahead and cut things over on YouTube, Brian.
Great.
So thank you, everybody in YouTube land out there, for hanging out with us today. We'll look forward to seeing you guys all on tomorrow. Appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good one.
Yeah,
Brian?
thanks everybody. And I'm just selling some of the Lucid off that bounce, 1788. Just playing this like a fiddle today. So anyway, yeah, everyone in YouTube, thanks for joining us this morning.
Absolutely.
And as always, you can join us live instead of listening to YouTube and the delayed feed. So we got a summer special going on with Flash up there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's like summer 40 or something like that. Summer 39, I think. Excellent.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, and I'll probably pop off after that and go run a couple things and get it done. So thanks, Brian, for hanging out. Always fun making money with you in the mornings, brother.
All right. Good deal. Thanks for coming on and staying on, Thor. Cheers, buddy.
Yep. Talk to you later.
And yeah, you too.